Okay, jetzt let's Ach, jetzt. So, ist jetzt alles in Ordnung? Okay, does anyone have problems with mental.com?
Yeah, can you please give us the code?
Yes, the code, you can see it, hold on, sorry, I'm not sharing my. All right. Okay, please enter the code and write everything down that comes to your mind when you think about this phrase.
About do I enter a word that comes to my mind, I think about that phrase.
Yeah.
You can't be serious.
Okay, let's see if someone wrote something already. All right, you can see what the others wrote, so you don't have to. If you want to write in Arabic, you can write in Arabic as well. Yeah, there's so many people at 9 response. Everyone needs to write something. Right. Wait. 10 seconds. Wait. We have a lot to talk about. That's why I'm a bit pushing. Thank you, Christina.
Aber es wird größer.
Very good. Very good. All right, and thank you very much, everyone, for participating. As you can see, there are many different words, which probably some of them surprised me. For example, my belly, or sad truth. Probably it is the sad truth. We will find out this evening. Gases, minerals, healthy, unhealthy, which means never put the wrong fuel, conscious consumption, healthy, unhealthy, that body-mind connection. Wow, proteins, ferritin. I don't know what this is. Maybe someone can tell me. Fitness, body, planning, yeah, very good. Vitamins, shine and face, and so on and so forth. So a lot of different things and very diverse things come to our mind. let's have a closer look what this can mean. Thank you for participating again. So this sentence, it's called an aphorism. Yeah, it doesn't come from anywhere. It comes specifically from 1826 from a French lawyer, Sarabon, who said auf Deutsch würde man, in German we would say in der Physiologie des Geschmacks. It's a very classic book about the physiology of taste. And he wrote, tell me what you eat, and I tell you what you are. So this thought and this sentence is being rephrased over centuries, and we still use it and know it today. And I want to know from you, what or who influences our individual food choices? So eating is influenced, or what we eat is being influenced by something or somewhat. What do you think? Who does influence us? Oh, wow, so many people. I take someone and the person takes someone else, all right? So Anna, start.
For instance, advertisement.
Advertisement, why and how?
Like, my first thought was family, because you grow up and you're going to eat what your parents tell you to, or like, educate you. But then you also sometimes see like advertisement, and a lot of people that just try the things they see. And what is like specific healthy or specific diets you see on the television, you want to try. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Is it right? There are a lot of things that comes to my mind, but what I think is can also be a factor is the media or television. For example, I remember when I first saw Jamie Oliver on television, and I mean now it's not a thing, but 10 years ago,
Yeah.
I remember then that was actually the first time that I wanted to start cooking, and I saw him. He made some popcorn, but it was very interesting because he made sugar out of he made orange sugar and mint sugar also.
Wow.
And I really like that. So media, I would say. For example,
Exactly. Kind of the same.
I think food organization, food.
Industry.
Yeah, because I think pretty fast, like back history, couldn't exist. And cornflakes companies and those things, but pretty fast, it's one of our like part of our days. So we have to have our breakfast. But like if you ask the people that their specialist is food, they told me pretty fast it's not that healthy. That's what I hear. So I think so.
Can you take some?
Yeah.
I think huge factor is how we are socialized. So what our family eats, what our friends eat. Yeah, it's a huge factor.
Someone else?
I think also how much time we've got, like depending on our day, like how much time we spend on other things, and then how much time is left, or how much time we calculate to cook or just get some fast food. Yeah,
It's a good point.
I wanted to tell you like how, like, what kind of food someone can afford in the matter of like having money to afford food or living somewhere where you can buy certain food or cannot buy.
Okay, last two. You.
Or like,
me or whatever.
no, you also raise your hand, but
yeah,
also for some people also religion. That's because
Last one, man.
I was dying to say things that almost has been told. Yes, like socially, we are when you go to Williamity Mansa, for example, and Fridays the family gathering, they do something like Magluba, Mansa, these heavy meals. And the way lifestyle, if your lifestyle is very busy, you eat junk food, for example.
Sure.
It's the way how you live your life, how much time you have to do your food, you live alone. So it's a combination.
True, and also what importance do you give for taking time?
And the money, she said, is very important.
Situation.
You go to McDonald's, for example, in America,
Yeah.
United States, you go, you get a big meal, $5.
Sure.
So many people buy it, but it's poison. Okay, fried things.
So as you can tell, there are many answers to this question. Hunger levels is, for example, one. How hungry am I? Ethnicity is price, as we heard, personal income price, and special diet requirements. Some people can't eat wheat, some people can't eat things with milk, with lactose. And also your mood. I think all women know that sometimes our mood, especially in specific days, we want to eat certain things, which probably not unhealthy. And men probably also know that sometimes the mood depends and detects what they want to eat. But what's important is human beings are being influenced on several levels. And knowing that is important in order to answer the question, you are what you eat. Because it means if you really want to find out who you are depending on what you eat, you have to be mindful of this, that you are being influenced 24/7. All right. I have a next question for you. The next question is, what role do cultural influences play in determining what we find delicious? Do you think even, is there an influence of culture? Yeah, Sammy?
I think I heard that's what you eat when you're very little and a child, that this influences what you like in your life.
Exactly. That's a good point. In my childhood, it's a delicacy in India. It's bone marrow, like the thing which is
Yes.
inside the bone. I remember when we flew to India every second year, and my grandfather, like my grandmother cooking bone marrow, and we eating like bone marrow, which is probably very different or maybe not very, like you wouldn't eat it every day if you're not from this specific area from India. But for me, it's connected to my childhood, and it's the most delicious thing. I could eat it every day. And it's also very cultural for this region in India. So do you know maybe other foods which are culturally different?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I answer correctly now, but from culture, I also think of certain holidays with my family where I went, and then I connect this food to always the same holiday and the same place where we went regularly, and this gives me a good feeling.
Can you give an example of?
Yes,
something?
so we went to Spain almost every summer holiday because of the geographical low distance and the nice weather. And we would eat tomato salad with fresh olive oil on our balcony, and it's nowhere so delicious as there for me.
Yes.
Because it's just perfect, you know, I could go to bed whenever I wanted. Mom and dad were so happy with me. Yeah, it was just a really good time. And the other thing is maybe in certain situations when you are depressed, when you got a bad mark at school, but then your mom cooks something and makes you happy again. So for me, this is cultural influence. When I don't eat it for the taste, but I eat it to get the feeling which I connect with the food.
Exactly.
Kind of.
Do you think culture determines taste? What we find, does your culture determine what you find tasty?
Yes.
Yes? Can someone give an example? Fine.
I would say no,
Okay.
because I come from a rural area in Germany where it's called Saarland, and I feel like there's not too much of a food culture, and I ended up, my favorite is Indian, and I developed it a few years ago. So I would say, in my case, no.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to say no, because I think you like the food you are accustomed to. So, yeah.
I said yes, because, for instance, I visited China once and they had ducks to eat. And they tried it and I was so disgusted, like, I really was, I wouldn't try it. So that's why I thought, okay, different culture. And also there's this one, I don't know how to say it in English, but in German you say, step on and can sustenance.
What? Can you say it?
Okay, from Bavaria, last hour.
Yeah. In English? What the farmer doesn't know.
It's not crazy.
Yeah, yeah, true. Okay, thank you. So the thing is, we have to eat. And often we eat out of the notion that we find something delicious. And too often we forget that everything we eat has a direct influence on our body. So if we eat an apple, we don't just eat an apple, we eat the minerals and the fiber and the vitamins and everything that comes with it. The same as when we eat chocolate, we eat all these empty calories and the sugar, which raises our blood sugar, and so on and so forth. So everything we eat has a direct impact and is a source of information for our body. Everything we eat is a form of nutrition. And I think this is a thought in everyday life. We tend to forget it because we are so distracted with so many other things. And this is a very basic thought, but I thought it might be interesting to mention it again. Everything has an impact. Everything has vitamins if it's not made out of industrial place and so on. Okay, so that we eat, what we eat has an impact on us, but also how we eat. And the question how to eat is necessary in order to answer the question of you are what you eat. So everyone knows these situations. We sit in front of the TV and we eat, and there is not much of looking on the food, and we just look into the television. I do this too often, and what I do as well is in front of the computer, working and eating. This form of eating is called distressed and mindless eating. What do you think? What is mindless eating?
Like you don't think what you eat, you just like moving your hand to your mouth.
You don't. You're mindless, basically.
Exactly.
Exactly. Mindless eating is dangerous. It's super dangerous. A study from Harvard showed that mindless eating can lead to anxiety, overeating, because you don't have any form of portion control. You just eat. Some people, like if you watch a movie for 2 hours, you probably snack like on record the 2 hours, which is possible, and it can also lead to weight gaining. So on one hand, we have mindless eating. So we must have a compound to that, which is mindful eating. So any idea about mindful eating? Such a nice word, isn't it? What comes to your mind when you hear mindful eating? Ashley.
I think it's like a more conscious way of eating to like take time to appreciate what's in front of you, and also I think if you actually pay attention to what you're eating, you also tend to eat slower than when you're distracted by other things. And I think that's also important for your digestive system to like chew properly, eat slower, and it's easier for the body to break down all the nutrients that way. And
That's also something the Harvard study has proven. That's a good point. Yes. You want to go on?
no, someone else.
Someone else? Choose someone.
Maybe to plan how to eat or when to eat and what to eat, not just eat when you're hungry. Yeah.
I think I've also read that people tend to eat more when they eat alone. So it's maybe more like healthy to eat with other people and to socialize with people.
My good friend whenever she has something to eat, she always has to watch something. And she can't start eating before she hasn't found a Netflix show or a Netflix movie which she really wants to see. So she rather eats cold food than eating without watching something. This doesn't sound healthy, does it? So mindful eating is a holistic approach of eating. It is, you can use mindful eating as a form of treatment. Many of us have unfavorable behaviors while eating, and by being mindful, you are being mindful of all the emotions you have while eating. For example, some people suffer from binge eating disorder, or from anorexia, or many other food-related psychological diseases. And by being
Just explain the word anorexia because it's very important for people to know.
anorexia is, does anyone want to explain it? So I don't talk too much. Oh, I think.
Yeah, it's a type of eating disorder that basically like it's also kind of like a form of Sucht, but like rather than, for example, binge eating too much, it's kind of like the addiction to eat too little, and oftentimes it's related to like negative body image and also kind of a distorted view of your own physical appearance. I don't know.
Yes, and anorexia, you also puke it out, right?
Yes,
Bulimia. Yeah, there are different forms of anorexia. There are people who suffer from it, and they eat something, and they can't bear the thought that they have eaten something, and they puke it out again. So these forms of psychological diseases are pretty common, especially most studies show that it's very common under young women in adolescence. And by mindfully eating, it can be approached next to seeking professional help in order to get through this kind of serious diseases. It can help to go through and to work with your emotions while eating. And it also develops the thought of not being judgmental while eating, because sometimes we tend to think that certain food is healthy and certain food are unhealthy. And in fact, we can say objectively that certain food, like food drenched in olive oil or in any kind of oil, is not healthy per se. All right. But we, what was my thought again? Yes, but saying that I'm not going to eat it because it's unhealthy, this can lead to another form of restrictive eating and also to restrictive behavior. Okay. One thing pretty important while talking about mindful eating doesn't necessarily lead to losing weight. So if you want to lose weight, just saying, okay, I'm going to eat mindfully, it's not going to help, because losing weight is dependent on your calorie intake, calories in versus calories out, right? So, but mindful eating can help you, as Aisling said, eating lesser food, being more mindful about what you're eating. The Harvard study showed that people who eat mindfully, they tend to eat more holistically and also whole food, because they don't see what they eat as, they see what they eat as a form of, what I said before, as a form of energy and information for your body. All right. Okay. So mindful eating is something practiced by, mindful eating sounds like a very nice word, right? So it could come straight from LA, like everyone want to be mindful eating and blah, 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 and we're going to pay thousands of dollars for retreats in order to learn mindful eating. But no, mindful eating is a very old concept. And it was already introduced by Hippocrates, a very old man, dead for a very long time. He's the founder of Western medicine. And he said, let food be thy medicine and medicine thy food. And before Hippocrates, who is very important for Western medicine, all ancient religions already talk about the concept of mindful eating. For example, in Sanatana Dharma, in Hinduism. So you might think, okay, what is Sanatana Dharma and what is Hinduism? I wrote it because the real name of Hinduism is Sanatana Dharma. Hinduism is a concept introduced by the British in the 18th century, all right? So there's nothing like Hinduism, there is Sanatana Dharma. And in Hinduism, there's a very beautiful metaphor. They say you should eat like a bird, okay? So as in every religion, there are dietary codes. There is no religion, as to my information, which has no dietary codes as in general. And in Hinduism, there are many different dietary codes which focus on not eating animals because they see animals as a form of creation of God. And that's why they tend to promote a vegetarianism and veganism. And in the Bhagavad Gita, which is the old holy scripture, there are two old holy scriptures in Hinduism. It's the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita. And the Bhagavad Gita is very precise regarding food culture and how Hindus should eat in order to be spiritually enlightened in this world. And the Bhagavad Gita focuses exactly on this metaphor: eat in a healthy life, eat in order to live a healthy life, like a bird or like an animal. So eat light food, which doesn't like drags you down, like after eating Munster, for example, or after eating Kartoffelbrei and mashed potatoes in Germany, whatever. Eat like a bird is a concept very interesting because in Hinduism, there are three categories of why and how and what people should eat. Because food, that's the thought of Hinduism, has an effect on the body and on the temperament, i.e. the character, all right? And there are three categories: tamasic food, rajasic food, and sattvic food, all right? So Hindus shouldn't eat tamasic food, which are leftover, stale, unripe, spoiled, or impure food, which is believed to produce negative emotions. So there is a correlation in Hinduism that what you eat has a direct effect not just only on your body, but also on your emotions. Rajasic food is food that produces strong emotions or strong emotional qualities like passion, restlessness, and these foods are basically meats or everything like connected to animals. Onion, garlic, peppers, pickles, pungent, spicy food, rasic food has a big and strong impact on the emotional level of human beings. And sattvic food is food which is being recommended by Hinduism to eat. It is very light, like fruit, nuts, whole grain, vegetables. It's often not cooked on high flame, so very like just on simmering. For example, in Germany, we would say dören. Dören is kind of like baking something for a very long time on a very low temperature. So all these nutrients in the food doesn't go to waste. And sattvic food is the food which kind of opens the soul of a Hindu person who believes in this in these three categories in order to be what's empfänglich in English? In order to receive spiritual light. All right? Okay.
Yes,
please.
What does pungent mean?
Pungent means pungent food like
Can try it, Joe.
Also ich muss die ganze Zeit an Pungent Food denken, so sauer oder
Okay.
ja, sauer, so könnte man vielleicht sogar sagen. Oder Anna, hast du noch ein besseres?
So, another question.
Yes, please.
Leftover, like
Leftover food
from the day before.
Yeah, something you like to eat. Yeah, you told me leftover food.
Maybe from previous meal.
Yes, exactly.
Dinner to lunch.
And a ritual in Hinduism is that these people, like very devoted Hindus, they doesn't eat anything before they have offered it to their gods. If they offer their god, if they do like a little bit of ritual and they offered it to their gods, the food becomes prasadam. That means blessed. So they eat just blessed food. When you travel to India, you will see a lot of restaurants which are called prasadam restaurant, which means like the foods which are being prepared there, they are being offered to the god after being cooked. So all these devoted Hindus can go there and eat prasadam food. One more thing, or one more practice they do is they sprinkle a little bit water around their plate, which also purifies and cleanses the food. And there are many different beautiful traditions Hindus do all over India. Let's talk about Buddhism. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Eating in silence. I think this is something very uncommon. Did anyone ever eat in pure silence? Okay, tell me, how was it? Horrible.
You're hitting yourself while you're eating, which is weird.
I never ate. I think I never ate in pure silence.
I think also like a lot of times what you said earlier, it's common for us to eat in company. And it's also associated with like a social aspect of like eating together and sharing food and sharing like conversation. And I think eating in silence, I don't know, kind of just makes me very lonely. Like it's a weird situation that normally in other, like if you're walking or something and you're by yourself and it's silent, I think you don't have that association. But with food, because it's oftentimes such a social gathering or like event, it's unusual. It feels good for me at least.
But I feel like it could be also very peaceful, like in Ramadan, before the fasting begins, I used to wake up and eat this, and I really liked it because it's like, there's no one away, you just eat the food,
Yeah.
and I know it's very peaceful.
Did you notice some changes while eating? If you were like sitting in the morning on where during so, but it was just peaceful for you. All right. One more very interesting aspect in Buddhism is that the food per se is super important, what you eat. Usually Buddhists are also vegetarian and they don't eat meat and stuff like this. But the preparation, the process of preparing the food is an essential part of eating, and also an essential part of being mindful while eating. In Buddhist, if you ever go to a Buddhist monastery, and you will find the cook, or you get a chance to find the cook. One thing is very, you go to the cook, the monasteries who offer cooks who prepare the food for the people, they have to be of a special spiritual level. In fact, they have to be enlightened. So the person who cooks the food must be enlightened for those who are in the monastery. So that's a very common, in India, there is a very famous monastery in the north, in Dharamsala. And out of coincidence, I met the cook, who was apparently enlightened. And I really felt like that this person, while cooking the food, was not here. Like they were like meditating or saying things, saying prayers while eating. And that's something, a tradition I know from my own family, from my grandmother, who used to say prayers while eating. So, and the thought was that she always used to tell me, I really want that this food who is going to be eaten by a family member, it should not only nourish their bodies, but it should also nourish their souls, their spirituality. So that's why she included praying while cooking. So that's a very nice practice of being mindful, and yes. A very interesting thing about Buddhism is being not attached to food. Like having no kind of attachment, no kind of, how we say it, Sucht, addiction, not strong urge, I have to eat it, otherwise I will break everything and I'll go mad. Sometimes people feel like this. And I really like this thought because it calms you down. Like it helps you to see as food as it is out of this emotional aspect, rather being more grateful about what you got. And the essence of the thought is you eat to live, not live to eat. All right, guys, thank you very much for your time until this point, because I feel like I'm talking too much. That's why I have a little question for you. Now, I told you about this approach not being attached to food. do you think that this approach neglects this important aspect of experiencing pleasure while eating? And if yes, do you think having experiencing pleasure while eating is important? Also, maybe it's
اتفضل اتفضل تعالى. المهم خلصنا.
guys. Did you understand the question, or am I? I told you about in Buddhism this thought of having no attachment to food. All right, not having like kind of addiction or whatever. Ihre Internet. Can you see me? Yes. And in essence, that means you shouldn't. My question to you is: does this approach of not having any kind of attachment to food and being like, okay, I just have to eat because I have to eat because I have to exist, does it take out the pleasure of eating?
Can you repeat it?
Can you read it? I think it's very.
Yeah, that's the approach.
Maybe it's clear when I don't talk.
I think I can try to.
Yes,
explain.
try.
Is it like, the question, is it, does he lose the pleasure of eating, or do you enjoy it less when you know that it's not necessary? Is that what you said?
Okay, let me rephrase the question. Let me measure while eating is important. Like feeling it, like. Yeah, give what you like.
Like preparing it. You go, for example, when you prepare the food, when you are on a high, or you prepare a cup of tea, has something attached to it. You cannot disattach the situation around you.
Okay. Other voices.
Me?
Yeah.
In our project, we split for groups, preparing food for 20 people. So while you're making the food, like it's a feeling that it's not just a food, because you will think about each one. This one who don't like me, this one who is veggie, this one. So these things give you like a feeling. It's not just a food. You will pleasure, or you will what's the word? You will feel like it's an important thing in life. It's not just like eating and keep going. So this is
It's not a car need just fuel.
exactly.
Oh.
Maybe this matches at all what you just said, but I think it's really important to value what you eat, because it comes from somewhere, like someone has to grow it and to harvest it and then to bring it, when you consume it, someone has to buy it, someone cooks it. So much work and so many resources that are like just in the field, that I think it's really important to enjoy it and to value what you have. Yeah.
Thank you. So there is some sort of importance of feeling it, but I know myself people who say I just eat because I have to eat. I don't feel anything. There are legit people who don't have any like strong emotional connection while eating, and I think in general most people, for them the pleasure while eating is an important thing. Huh?
Yeah, just a short thing, but I've experienced some people who get sick because they were only thinking about food. I mean, we already had the example with, I know, being anorexic, but I think it can also go the other way. But
yeah, that's kind of binge eating. Like you have to think, okay, what I'm going to eat when and how much, and yeah. In Christianity, we have two more religions. Okay, in Christianity, the main essence is breaking barriers by eating together. So in the Hellenistic Roman time, where Prophet Jesus, peace be upon him, came to Palestine, it was very common to eat thrice a day. This is something we also practice in Germany a lot. I don't know how is it in Jordan? How often do you eat in a day? 3 times? Like,
Three major, 3 times.
okay. And then 10 times Saturday and 10
But like,
times Sunday.
in winter, maybe it's P5, or we have a lot of time that usually it's winter. So, as you said,
There is between meals some fruits or nuts.
Oh, okay. Like just nibbling a little bit here and there. All right. Okay. Yes. According to the Gospel of Mark and Luke, Prophet Jesus, peace be upon him, he was very uncommon in a sense, because you have to think like this. Eating together in a group was a lot about caste system and class system. Like certain people from a certain class sat together and they ate together. But what did Prophet Jesus did? He broke this caste system by inviting sinners, as said in the Bible, or by inviting taxpayers, tax officers to his dinner table, and letting them eat with him and with his companions, which was very, very uncommon, and which led to a lot of problems according to the history in the gospel, because the Pharisees were the elite, the Jewish elite back then. They didn't like that. They didn't want that. And that's why maybe you know the story of Prophet Jesus having his sitting at the table with his companions, and there were sinners and tax officers, and the Pharisees, they come in and they are shocked. They say to him, "Oh my God, what are you doing here?" And he says, as long as the bride, he's referring to himself, as long as the bride is with the wedding guests, the people have to eat together. That's in Gospel of Mark, verse 18, I guess. 18. I'm pretty sure I can reach it. So yeah, it says check, honey. I'm pretty sure. And this situation led to the plan of the Pharisees to kill Jesus. So they wanted to. There were many reasons why they wanted to kill him, but this is one thing which is mentioned in the Gospel very strongly. Okay. So breaking barriers by eating together. Eating together is a big thing here in Jordan, but not in Germany, right? So what do you think? Like, how can we implement eating in a group in our very busy lives? Do you have any strategies, or do you like to eat? Like, do you take special times while eating together?
I wanted to comment on what you say, not in Germany. Actually, in my childhood, it went like this at home. When I wanted to invite friends, my mom would say, yes, but then they have to go at 7 because then we eat. And here you can't imagine this, right? You would never finish the meeting with your friends because you have to eat. Like, this would be so rude. Or she would say, yeah, you can meet your friends, but after 1 p.m. after we ate. And I'm doing it totally opposite now with my family. Like, we invite everyone to eat together, but that's also me being exposed to cultures where this is a thing. But yeah, this is like hilarious if I think about it now.
I remember my best friend, her name was Mandy. She was a white German girl. And after school, I went to her house very regularly. We were doing homework together. And very often, the mother of Mandy, she told me to go into Mandy's room so the family can eat.
Yeah.
So I wasn't about to eat with them. Like, this was a thing. That's a thing in Germany. And I know many migrant friends who have experienced pretty much the same. But my other best friend, Johanna, she was also a white German girl. The parents always said, okay, stay and eat with us. So it's very different from family to family, but it's a very common experience many migrant children have in Germany. But all these white German people can say or something regarding that. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to say something.
But may I say something about it? Because
Yes.
Yes, I made this experience as well, and I think it's really interesting because still I had also like other white friends, and it would be like this: you play together, and then everyone has to go to their families to eat. So it's not like going to eat by yourself, but it's more like going to eat like in your closest family. And so then like people would like split up or meet after dinner because you had to be with your family for eating, and afterwards you could meet. But yeah, but in my family, yeah, people got invited, so I don't know, but
It's very
very much. But I think it's not about being alone, but about like this kind of just staying in a little family thing. That's, I think, really interesting.
Yeah. True. Eating together is a major part in Islamic faith. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, said, "A man is not a believer who fills his stomach while his neighbor is hungry." So feeding others and eating something together is intrinsically in a part of the Islamic religion. And I'm gonna skip a little bit because we have a lot of other things to do. In Islam, as many know, Islam is very precise and has a lot of rules, how to eat, the way to eat, the gratefulness you should feel. It starts even with just washing your hands and saying a little prayer of gratefulness and ending your meal with a little prayer. For one thing which is also very common in Islamic tradition is eating with your fingers, like experiencing the food you're eating, not eating with cutleries, and even licking your fingers. The thought of licking your fingers is, in Islamic tradition, people believe that not the food fills your stomach, it's rather God's blessing which fills your stomach. So you don't know where the blessing is and which little rice piece. So you should eat everything in order to be grateful, in order to receive God's special blessing. Okay, I'm gonna skip a little bit. As you all know, in Islamic tradition, the stomach shouldn't be filled a lot. 1/3 should be food, 1/3 should be water, and 1/3 should be air. All right. Okay. I think this was very short.
Not why.
Because does anyone want to say something about this?
I think it is, the science proved that if you fill your stomach without leaving a space for, yes, you feel like you want to sleep or you feel like tired.
So the thing is, in Islam, the basic idea is being conscious all the time. If you eat too much, everyone knows it, you can't be conscious. So in Islamic tradition, you have to be conscious of God's presence all the time. That's why you also have to regulate how much you eat. So there are many hadiths, how to say hadiths in English?
Prophet sayings.
Sayings of the Prophet, where the Prophet said that just eating some bites of something is enough. So that's kind of the tradition which
There is important hadith.
It's more healthy.
it's more healthy. And there's a lot of studies to also talk about that.
There is an important hadith.
And like it's also like you food as like not even chance to be foodie or not eating.
How do you make a correlation between ingredients and?
No, I mean like not the like heavy aspect of not eating too much, but like is there also an aspect of not wanting to eat like too much to not be greedy for food, to like also recognize that other people it's just
It's a very basic, it correlates to this saying I showed in the beginning, you shouldn't fill your stomach unless your neighbor has filled his stomach. It's a good thought, yeah.
What's
طبيب يفسر لها يعني برضه من ناحية إنه الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم حثنا إنه ناكل إنه منع بالمعدة، كمان أنا بعتقد في جميع الديانات إنك تعبي معدتك مرة واحدة، هذا شيء بضر بالمعدة، ليه؟ لأنه بيخلي الدماغ لما يصير معدتك فوق بيعطي أوامر كل الدم، كل الأشياء بتروح على المعدة، فبيصير عندك فجأة خمول، ممكن حتى انخفاض في الضغط. هذا لاحظته عند دراسة يعني إنه بعض الأحيان بقول لك إذا أنت نازل ضغطك ليش أنت مش ماكل؟ برضه زيادة الأكل تعمل هبوط في الضغط، لأنه كل الكنترول بيروح كل الدم على المعدة فبينزل ضغطك، فهو أفضل شيء إنه الواحد ما يعبي معدته وياكل على مراحل صحية. وجميع الديانات ممكن إنه هاي الشغلة.
as I said before, but with a further explanation,
Mhm.
that when you eat, all the blood, all the energy goes to your stomach.
Mhm.
So you will not function well.
Mhm.
You cannot concentrate, you
Mhm.
cannot do your job. So you feel like you are overloaded,
Exactly.
high pressure, because the blood, the heart needs to give more blood to the body, and more the blood needs to go to the stomach.
Mhm.
I want to refer to another hadith
Mhm.
that the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, the stomach is the house of disease.
Exactly.
So, and now I read an article that all diseases, most diseases say that does not have like external effects are coming from ourselves, from what we eat,
Exactly.
like cancer, blood pressure, whatever we eat that affect our organs is from what we eat. And there's another hadith. Which says,
There are many.
the worst thing you can fill is your stomach. The
Exactly.
worst thing you can fill is filling your stomach.
صار العلاج كله بالصيام فقط. صار هلا عادة الصيام فقط للحفاظ على الصحة.
شيء شر من بطن حسن حديث.
Exactly. The thing in modern psychology, modern neuroscience has proven that the stomach is the second brain. So many of our subconscious energy, there are psychological studies to talk about 60%, 65%. So let's say 60%. 60% of our energy in our body is subconscious, and it's being used for the stomach. So as I said to Henry, the aim of a believer in Islamic tradition is to be conscious and to have energy in order to ausüben, practice your religious duties. So if you have a full stomach, there is an imbalance. All right. So mindfulness and religious philosophy, there is a lot to say, but to break it down, be mindful about what you eat and how much you eat. Don't overeat. It's something very common in all traditions. Focus on your food and be silent. That's something also in Islamic tradition, not to speak while eating. Very weird. We talk so much while eating, but it's very, in Islamic tradition, it's actually being silent, and not outwards, but also inwards, inner silence. Be grateful about the food. You can do through a prayer, whatever. Find a mindful meal preparing is also something very connected to different religious philosophies. Share your meals with others and find your balance. The most difficult question: how can I find my personal balance in food? Does anyone have an idea? Anyone has some specific diet they want to share with us? Go.
Like back to science, each body needs different calories than. So it's a calculation. Like I need around 1,000 calories a day. I have to eat 1,000 calories to be in balance. If I eat less, I will lose weight. If I eat more, I will gain. So this is the calculation for each body.
Yeah. Okay. Usually we don't see food as calories. How to find a balance? And let's think about like an average person who has not a lot of time. How can we find our balance? Does anyone have some certain strategies? Yeah.
I think one point is trying to eat many different things and ingredients, so not always eating the same for a week, for example, because then you wouldn't have like such a big range of different vitamins, for example.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I think also a lot of people like try to meal plan
Sorry?
to meal plan kind of. So maybe especially if your time is very limited due to like your job or whatever education, and it's still like easier to prepare food in advance and then be able to have it rather than so you're still able to like have fresh ingredients and stuff.
Does anyone do meal planning or meal prepping? Meal prepping, right?
I get that.
Okay. All right. Anna.
Meal prepping, like meal
Yeah, like 4 days in advance. All right.
I think
Yes.
Just to give you an advice, like my friend tried it and works. When you eat against a mirror, and watch yourself. And then you will see yourself and you'll reduce your.
You look, you
You're not
look.
afraid. Not afraid by seeing himself eating every day.
Really?
Give it a try. You will be ashamed of yourself.
I mean,
I feel like being conscious about like eating is the first step and then like reflect on like how do we eat. Like for me, my problem is I always eat too fast. And I eat so fast. So I came up with the rule like well like a from my flatmates when we ate together. He told me now try when you eat, if you take a bite, chew it 30 times.
Yeah.
And that's great for your digestion and like and of course, and then you have to count.
Can do it once.
So yeah, and I feel like but they're like just like these small rules also we have this like famous saying in Germany, eat an apple a day, keep the doctor away.
Yeah.
Like something, eat fruits every day or like eat every day something green because green is often in vegetables and fruits. Like if you're a person who forget to eat fruits and vegetables.
Yes.
Like these small rules, like I feel like these are like easy to apply because often, especially if you don't have time or you're stressed and it's hard to like change your diet completely. So it's easier to start like with small steps. And also I feel like people who are like surrounds you have a huge impact. Like tell your friends, you know, I want to change my diet, or be like co-workers. Like in the office, for example. I mean, yeah, I like Pilates, something or a baker, maybe. So, like we could work together, like better, like.
True. Regarding the chewing, modern science has shown that like the digestion doesn't start in the stomach, it already starts by the saliva in the mouth. So chewing is super important. Okay, there are some certain like health regulation recommendations from the Harvard University, for example, like fill your plate with vegetables rather than with meat and carbohydrates, and try to, next to your healthy plate, you also live a healthy lifestyle while moving your body. All right, let's skip that. And we talked a lot about you are what you eat and on different levels. And I was reflecting about this question of you are what you eat after finishing the presentation. And I think behind this question or behind the sentence of you are what you eat is maybe a bigger question. It is, who do I want to be? Because the question of who do I want to be determines of what I'm going to, which kind of choices I'm going to make, and also which kind of food choices I'm going to make. So in order to find out who you are through your through the way what you eat, I think one should reflect on who do I really want to be and what kind of things I really want to let into my body, which shapes what I am or who I am. Thank you very much for your attention. Maybe Laura wants to say something regarding the talk. Let's talk interface.
Thank you, first of all, for this very beautiful presentation. I learned something, I laughed, I could talk, it's really, I feel perfect. Thank you so much. This is the flyer for the upcoming cultural cafes. And we have a series. This is very nice because we have 3 different speakers and they all speak about one topic, religious life in Germany. And we have Henriette speaking about Christianity, but you will get the chance again to hear Mariam, who's going to speak about Islamic or Muslim life in Germany. And then we also have a lady, Manuela, her name. She is also German and she's a Buddhist. And she's going to share her experience as a Buddhist in Germany. So you see the dates. We start on the 23rd and then 30th and 7th of October. And I hope to see you all here.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
And now everyone stay seated. Yes, we're going to have the food tasting. No.